Everywhere around us, there are individuals who are great leaders. They generate energy, they inspire, and they make a difference in this world. I was always curious about how they make their vision a reality, how they deliver impact, and how they transform teams, organizations, and industries. In my Leaders of Change podcast, I am inviting leaders to share their journeys and inspire us all. Hear it in Leaders of Change podcast. Hi everyone, and welcome to my Leaders of Change podcast. Today, I have with me Ram Tilak, who is the Chief Data Scientist and Global Head of Data Science and Analytics at Inchcape.
Thanks for having me here, Imane.
Welcome to the podcast, Ram. Dear viewers, let me tell you a little bit more about Ram. He is based out of Singapore. He has been living in this beautiful red dots since his master's at NUS, National University of Singapore. He leads a global team of data scientists, analysts, machine learning architects, and AI engineers spread across the Philippines, Colombia, and India. They are helping Inchcape transform into a data-driven, cloud-first organization. Before joining Inchcape, Ram held senior data science positions in HP and Mercedes-Benz. On the weekends, and hear this, he writes poetry on his blog. And he mentors students and professionals across the world to crack their first job in analytics. Last but not least, he cooks for his family. That's awesome.
Thanks, Imane. Thank you.
Welcome to the podcast. Shall we take a seat?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So Ram, the first question I have for you, poetry, how is that?
I think a lot of people think data and to be a very left brain analytical kind of work, but I find data to say the truth.
Yes.
So if you look at poetry versus prose, poetry tells you the truth in the most succinct form as compared to prose. And likewise, I also find data science to say the truth about what's really happening in every organization. And that's how I got involved. Plus, I think I've been a very creative person since my childhood. And I wanted to see how can I bridge that and use that creative skills also on my data journey. So it's really helped me in a big way.
Amazing. A data scientist who's using his right brain.
Yes, that's pretty much. And if you think about it, most problems that's there in organizations, if they are like very analytical and straightforward, it would have already been solved. Yes. So you really need to think out of the box, have that creative mindset, go into the shoes of people who are in the front line and understand the problem. And I think that right brain skill is very important. And also empathy is also very important as well. True. So how you understand the problem, the pain points of your business clearly before you build your algorithm.
I've never thought of it that way, but it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So do you write poetry on data science?
I think I've done one poem so far.
Yes.
It's sort of like how a data scientist would propose.
Oh my God.
So it's very technical, random forest, regression, and all these things.
Oh my God.
So I once gave it to my now wife, and she was my fiancée before, and she laughed out loud because she's totally a right brain person. She can't get anything, and she's from a more non-technical side.
Yes.
But it does make a good fun conversation.
You should share it. You should share it with the audience.
Definitely.
Awesome. So now, going back to data science, how did you end up being the chief data scientist at Inchcape?
It's been quite a journey. So I started my career as a developer in an investment bank, and it was way back in 2014, 2013 that time. And that time, I think if you see, there was this big article in Harvard Business Review. One of my mentors there used to ask me to read Harvard Business Review.
Yes.
And I saw this article there, what are the sexiest job in 21st century as a data scientist?
Oh my God.
Then I started learning about it, and I found a natural passion to it because I like analyzing things. So whatever I do, I always think twice, am I doing it the right way? Even as simple as taking a bus or taking an MRT from anywhere near, what's the best optimal route to take? So that's how I'm wired. So I had a natural progression towards it. And I started self-learning R and Python that time. And then I did my master's in NUS. And after that, I had like opportunities here in Singapore to work in companies like HP and Mercedes-Benz, and also start and grow teams there. So fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. So Singapore is also trying to expand their data science capability there.
Yeah,
And
and
I
having the right mentors.
exactly. So I've had like a few good mentors along the way. So I still remember in my first job in Bank of New York Mellon, there was a mentor who from a vice president of design. So I got selected for a mentorship program there, and that's when I did a pet project for him, pretty much on my weekends to trying to see if we can analyze design elements in our application, use data to improve the UI of the application. Wow. It was quite rudimentary work, but still that sort of showed me the capability of how data can help solve many problems. So we improved the application and everything after that using that small pet project I did. And that probably paved the way for everything after.
Excellent, excellent. And one thing in my head as the chief data scientist in Inchcape, you have a large team across the globe between the Philippines, Colombia, and India, multicultural, diverse organization. How do you manage across the globe and manage getting the best out of the team?
I think here again, the right brain aspect is important. So I'm fortunate to have grown in be in Singapore, which is very cosmopolitan. So I get to meet multicultural people on a daily basis. Plus, I think having a multicultural global remote team is an even bigger challenge across time zones as well. So we try our best and we try and see how we can find the good from everyone. How can we try and find and connect with everyone? So, for example, we do a lot of things to understand about each other's culture. Yes. So we've had like cross-cultural sharing sessions with the team, and we do a lot of engagement around that as well. And that's really helped us to improve and grow as a group. And one more thing I learned along the way was on trying to get into that empathy mode. So for example, Satya Nadella talks about this a lot in Microsoft as well, the importance of EQ and understanding that person, where they come from. So I'm a big fan of his work and like try and understand like how can you get to that person? What are they really struggling with? Is there any personal problem that's sort of impacting their professional work? Correct. So trying to get into these elements will really help you, especially the multicultural.
It's a human connection.
Correct.
That's the most important part. You connect with the person humanly, and then they will bring the best of themselves and the best themselves to work.
Correct. Yeah. And I think also along the way, we've found that though we are spread across different time zones, one reason for that is we are a global organization. We have footprint in over 40 countries, and we want to have a global team as well, with complete coverage. That's one reason why we have like Colombia, India, and Singapore as well.
Yes. So going back to AI, and sometimes the AI algorithms are biased and all. Do you see differences of AI across the globe? Like if there are engineers from different parts of the world, do they code AI differently?
Good question. So I think from an ethical standpoint, we try and follow the standards that Europe and Singapore, they already have like ethics and data science perspective. We try and follow that. But they do, for example, some things do come out. For example, when we work with the LATAM region, we have found our Colombia team to uncover better consumer behavior insights as compared to our Philippines team, because they are there in that region, they understand the nuances of that region. So, for example, I think something in data science that we do is called feature engineering, trying to get those signals from data. And we have seen that the teams there tend to understand the consumer better, so they can build better features as compared to giving a project to a team here. So you always come from an external standpoint for projects. Yes. So, but when you think about someone who has been through that situation in that region, they can develop better solutions.
Going back to empathy in data science.
Exactly. For example, I've been in Singapore for quite some time now. So if I build something for Singapore, I try and look for that local behavior and local perspective as well. So when we were doing a pricing project and we had a vehicle pricing project across the globe, and when they brought Singapore, I immediately jumped in because I understand the challenges in COE, the challenges in here. Absolutely. So how can you structure the project better? So you can add that natural, the local elements better. And that really comes from the local teams. So you try and follow that structure as much as possible.
And again, in the data science and AI as well, you need diversity and inclusion to ensure that everyone is included.
Correct. And you can see this even in all the companies, right? So when they build frameworks for NLP, natural language processing, and other aspects, they try and include diverse teams to review the framework, so that you get the complete perspective. So there can be some word in your language that is okay, but in other language it can be offensive. So how can you ensure that if I'm an English speaker, I'll not know that clearly. But if I am from a different region, I can review that in the local language, and I can ensure that's codified properly. So in the future, that's not offensive across the globe. So I think trust and safety and ethics in AI is going to be important. And that's a growing area, and we are also trying to follow that as much as possible.
I am passionate about it when it comes to ethics, especially in AI, and avoiding any biases that could happen in the AI itself. Awesome.
I think just one example was there's been a study on breast cancer predictions. And if you see the sample space that they built the predictions with, it was largely white women. So they were not able to, so the cancer algorithm was not able to predict well for black women. So it's not a problem with an algorithm, it's just that you don't have enough diversity. So, and then now they've tried to improve these things, right? So that's why the AI has shown initial promise. It's not across the globe in a ubiquitous way, because of the fact that it needs all these data points. It needs all the sample space.
I couldn't agree more. So switching back gears to your own leadership style, how would you describe your leadership in one word?
So if I had to pick one word, I would say democratic. So I really like involving everyone in my team when I make a decision, get their opinions, and finally take a decision on after getting all the opinions. So really democratic and participative when it comes to leadership.
Awesome. I love that. I love you are a playing coach in a sense. You work with them and ensure that their voice are heard by you. Correct. Absolutely. I love leadership, democratic leadership. Next question, Ram. Are you ready?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So, if you had to completely change your profession, what would you do?
I think that's a tough one. So, probably cook.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think I've had this love for cooking after COVID more than before. So how can the importance of self-sufficiency, importance of ensuring that your family is fed and really happy. It's a great stress buster.
Yes.
So I'd probably take a full-time role. Yeah.
I was expecting being a poet. But poet and cook. You can be poet and cook.
Yeah. You can make poetry through cooking as well.
Yes. Or you can write recipes through poetry.
Exactly.
Awesome. So what's the last book you read?
So last book I read was The Man Who Solved the Markets. It's about Jim Simmons, who is a quantitative finance guy who really helped to transform the quantitative finance industry. So I think if you see data science, I probably think quant finance is the area where the first data science application happened way back in 1980s itself, where they tried to look at different signals and data to understand what stocks to trade, what equities to trade. And they're quite advanced in that. Wow. And sadly, it's a field in which they don't share a lot. It's not open source like what we see now. So it's been like the knowledge has been with very few individuals, but I find them to be the most advanced in applied data science. So I think his story recently read and quite fascinated on how they were solving problems that we are facing now 30 years ago, 20 years ago, without compute, without the memory, without cloud. How did they manage? So I think it's a good learning.
Did you get any takeaways from them to apply in your leadership role right now?
I think one takeaway I got was to be more patient. So I think they've sort of sat on a challenge for close to 15 years sometimes. And they had a solution 15 years after they had the first problem. And I don't see myself being very patient now. That's also one thing I want to change in myself as well. As a millennial and as someone who always wants to hit the goal, I find that patience is not something I've cultivated a lot before. And with digital transformation and all the transformations happening around the globe, I find that you can't expect changes in short term. it does take time, and you have to be patient, trust the process, ensure that you have the right framework and the right vision in place so you can make the transformation. So though you may sort of slip and it might be a mess in the near term, but you sort of trust the process to get a structure and get a maturity in the long term. So I think I've come to that learning now.
And it comes also, with growing up as well.
Exactly.
We are millennials, and everything is on the fly. But then when you become an older millennial,
Yeah.
you cultivate patience and persistence and perseverance
Absolutely.
and all.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when you have like a young team and when you see them like growing and they may make mistakes, but you have to coach them, ensure that they are mentored properly, and they will also sometime understand the importance of patience and how it can help in your career as well.
Okay, that's great. I love what you're talking about on being patient and the perseverance that comes of older millennial growing and getting more growth. I have one final question for you. How can we help the next generation get more into the data science?
I think it's a very thoughtful question, and if you ask me, I think there's been some sort of mystery around data science. People think that you need a very specific skill set to do data science, and I'm completely against that. I feel that you just need that curiosity and the mindset to improve something, and the next generation, whatever job you do, be it an architect, be it an engineer, or be it a data scientist, you will play with data. You can't escape that. So try and see how you can improve that and how you can improve that natural curiosity skill set. And that's going to pave the way for you to apply data science in whatever job you are.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. So really, it's fantastic to have you here with us in the podcast. Thank you for being authentic and responding from your heart. Thank you for bringing your creativity and right brain to solving problem through data, and for mentoring the next generation of data scientists and machine learners across the board. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Imane, for having me.
Thank
Really
you.
happy. Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. See you soon.